Great. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Hello, everyone. My name is Charles Williams. I'm a principal go-to-market specialist, and I focus on omni-channel solutions on Amazon Connect, specifically on digital channels such as voice bots, chats bots, SMS and email, and task automation. And I'm going to be joined with my colleague, Marcelo Silva, who will introduce himself.
Hi, Marcelo Silva. I'm a product manager with Amazon Lex at Amazon Bedrock. Glad to be here supporting Charles and having this conversation with you and about Amazon Connect and the Gen AI self-service experience.
Right. So I'll go ahead and get started. We're excited to be here today. And one of the things that we want to do during this session is to show you how you can leverage Amazon Connect's Gen AI self-service capabilities to help transform the experience for your customers and receive the business outcomes that you're looking for. So let's talk about self-service in general, the trends around that. 75% of contact center agent staff is really tied to the agent cost. And so companies are looking at the ability to be able to really deflect that call volume or receive containment within, say, a voice bot or a chat bot. In addition, not just to lower the cost, but in some cases, they want their contact center agents to be able to work on higher level customer support services, or they may want to be able to address being able to upsell or cross-sell customers. In addition, 70% of customers prefer automation. So if the self-service works for customers, they prefer to do that. However, what's happening in the self-service from a trends and challenges standpoint is that they're ineffective. The experiences really drive customers to either zero out if you're using IVR, they're interacting with a chat bot. The chat bot doesn't understand what they're talking about. They'll close out the chat bot. And what they're trying to do is directly get to a live person, either through the chat or through the IVR. And so businesses want to go there. Customers want to use self-service. However, the solutions that are out there are not meeting their needs. So let's talk about our solution. So with Amazon Connect, we're talking about one application that delivers a seamless experience for AI, but also across the total customer experience to generate value. So for example, the solutions that we have reside on omnichannel with the customer, so chat bots and voice bots. We have the agent side with Agent Assist, Agent Desktop. We have on the supervisor side, analytics. And then we have on the administrator side around being able to do data mapping and UI and UX changes, and not always having to have a developer to make those changes. So as you think about this, we're able to deliver a seamless experience for the customer across self-service, the agent, and then being able to understand that experience. So for example, when we have a chatbot does the self-service, being able to address a customer's needs. Maybe there's another intent and they want to route that to an agent. It will take the context around that conversation, route it to the right agent. The agent will receive that information, and leveraging Gen AI capabilities around our Agent Assist, be able to, one, tell the agent exactly what the issue is, tell them immediately how to respond, be able to summarize through our guide solution also to be able to step through how they can solve that customer's issue, and then also provide them additional details or links to the detailed information of how that solution was generated so they can access that if they need to. In addition, we have Contact Lens that allows us to be able to get sentiment analysis, be able to use Gen AI capabilities to do a summarization of that experience for the customer on the self-service side, as well as on the agent side. And in addition, we're able to manage and measure the agent's performance in real time. So we're able to deliver a holistic solution, leveraging Gen AI from a self-service standpoint across that customer experience journey. So let's talk about Amazon Connect. and our omni-channel solutions that we're able to bring to the table to help drive self-service. So as we talk about the top layer there around our channels, so you think about voice, IVR, chat, SMS, third-party messaging, web and video calling, and we have other solutions that will be coming out later this year. But think about it, what we're talking about on being able to generate or drive a Gen AI self-service strategy leveraging these capabilities. You notice that I have voice there. And the reason I have voice is the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have a great agent experience, because one, as you're building out the self-service, you want to make sure that your agents are performing in an outstanding manner while you're developing the Gen AI self-service capabilities. Two, some of your intents on the self-service side may still have to go to an agent. So you want to make sure that your agents are ready to go from a contact center as a service standpoint. So we have the voice there to be able to support what your agents are doing. And then as you look at all these different channels, the IVR with voice bots, chat bots, messaging bots with SMS, and being able to use third-party messaging, or our web and video calling capabilities that allow you to be able to leverage those same capabilities, we're able to use one Gen AI solution set that includes Amazon Q, Lex, and Amazon Bedrock, tightly integrated together across all these channels. So you're able to use the same configuration, same flows, same analytics, same Gen AI capabilities and automation to develop it in one channel, but able to leverage it across all these other channels. So it makes it easy for you to be able to make changes very quickly. Then the other piece we'll talk about on the bottom left-hand corner is around our channel enablers. Channel enablers. So in several cases, we're talking about inbound, but another key aspect of Gen AI self-service is outbound. So for example, you may send an outbound campaign to a customer. We can use predictive dialing capabilities so they can detect if you're talking to a voice or you're going to a voicemail, actually to a live person before you actually connect the agent. Or you may be able to send SMS capabilities out to a customer. So as we talk about those capabilities at the top there around those channels, we're able to leverage that from an outbound standpoint and do proactive customer support and self-service from that standpoint. And then another key piece is the automation. So we talk about intelligent automation, leveraging our task automation capabilities. So for example, a customer may want to say, get the information and then complete a transaction. So for example, they may want to purchase a product, may want to pay a bill. So through task automation, we can take that self-service to the next stage on presenting the customer the right information and then guiding them and automating that experience so they complete that transaction on their own. Then to the right-hand side at the bottom there, we have data analytics. So when we talk about personalization and understanding a 360-degree view of the customer's experience across a customer's enterprise, we can leverage our customer profile. That allows us to be able to deliver a unique and personalized experience across all these channels, allows us to be able to understand if a customer switches channels to maintain that context across those channels. In addition, we talked about this on the prior slides around contact lens. So you think about contact lens, as I mentioned on the prior slide, you have the ability to be able to understand, get the sentiment analysis around that customer's experience on the self-service side, as well as on the agent side, and you have the ability to be able to understand how that agent performed and are they within the guidelines of how you want them to perform. So as you think about these capabilities, this is how you can use what we bring to the table from Amazon Connect to really drive a holistic Gen AI self-service strategy. So let's drill down on one of our solutions that we have in the marketplace, a couple of these different solutions that we have out there. Conversational FAQ. So one of the things that we've seen with our customers is that a significant amount of their volume, whether it's voice or chat, is being able to take frequently asked questions and making that and allowing that to a bot, a voice bot or a chat bot to be able to handle that. Because what they're looking at is being able to say, excuse me, if I can take a significant amount of that volume, and we have several customers who have a significant volume that's generated by frequently asked questions, policies, and procedures. we're able to leverage customers' knowledge stores and be able to launch voice bots or chat bots to be able to help deflect that call volume and maintain containment within a voice bot or a chat bot session. The other one that we have is assistant slot resolution. So it allows a chat bot or voice bot to understand more complex customer responses and to enable more natural human-like conversations. So for example, if I'm interacting with a chat bot and I'm making travel reservations, the chat bot may say, how many people are traveling with you? I may respond and say, it's me, my wife, and my daughter that are traveling with me. This will allow the chat bot leveraging assistant slot resolution to interpret that as 3. The other capabilities are more builder capabilities that help either augment what you may have from a chat bot or voice bot capability or build them very quickly. The first one is a scripted bot builder. So it allows us to be able, our customers to build more effective bots using natural language prompts. So being able to go back to my prior example around the travel, I might be able to go in, put in a prompt to say, I'd like to build a travel-related chat bot to be able to answer customers' questions and complete their transactions, to be able to book hotels or flights, and being able to jumpstart being able to build that and have that being able to launch quickly. So it saves you time on being able to build the bots that you need. Utterance generator. So it automatically generates utterances to improve the intent classification. So in some cases, customers have had to take utterances and map them to intents. This allows you to be able to take utterances, be able to actually map those to intents. You can also use this to enhance what you already may have out there from a voice bot or a chat bot standpoint. Drilling down a little bit more on the conversational FAQ chat bot or voice bot, is able to actually retrieve, summarize, and respond. So this allows being able to leverage Gen AI capabilities in partnership with Anthropic, leveraging their Claude models to be able to summarize these frequently asked questions. Data that you already have within your own 4 walls. It allows us to be able to customize that information, or you can determine how you want that response to be able to go forward to your customer. And we can also have a interactive conversation back and forth between the voice bot and the chat bot. So it allows us to be able to deliver this holistic solution, be able to provide containment from a voice bot or a chat bot standpoint. So let's talk about how we put this all together in an example. I like to use an example of going to the DMV to be able to renew your tag, your registration for your vehicle. So in this interaction, the customer goes to the DMV website, they start to interact with the chat bot. The customer says, which credit cards are accepted? The chat bot is able to leverage what's in the knowledge base to answer the questions and come back and say, we're able to accept Visa, MasterCard, and American Express and Discover. At that point in time, the chat bot can prompt them to say, would you like to go ahead and renew? Now, understanding who I am, they're able to use task automation, be able to complete that transaction on the customer's behalf. So it's leverage the Gen AI capabilities to be able to respond to the customer. It leverages intelligent automation, leveraging our task automation capabilities to automate completing that transaction on the customer's behalf. Now, during that transaction, the customer says, I have a custom vehicle that needs to be renewed. How can I do that? Now, the chat bot knows based upon what's in the knowledge stores that this is something that needs to immediately be routed to an agent. So it doesn't have to go back and forth and ask the customer all these different questions. It immediately takes that information, routes it to the right agent. The agent receives that information around that, knows who the customer is, has context around the self-service experience, understands what the customer needs to complete at this point in time, and leverages Agent Assist to be able to say, here's how you respond to the customer, here's how you address the customer's needs, and here's the sources of information that we use to be able to generate that information. The agent now completes that information or uses that information to complete the transaction on the customer's behalf. Then we leverage outbound campaigns to send an SMS or an email or even a voice call to that customer to let them know that they completed the transaction's been successfully completed and any follow-up information that they need to know and when they can expect any of their DMV related information to complete this transaction, when they can expect to receive. So this allows you to talk about holistically how you can help transform the experience leveraging Gen AI, as well as the other capabilities that I talked about on the prior slide. So what are some of the benefits? So the first thing is you're able to lower costs. You're able to reduce agent contact volume for routine inquiries. So think about it. And this is what we're seeing with several customers who implemented the chatbot solution and the voice bot solution. They're able to lower costs because they're able to take routine inquiries and able to allow a voice bot or a chat bot to handle those. And then they're able to achieve up to 80% self-service containment. This is what we are seeing with some of our customers. So you see it here with chat bots. We're seeing similar results with customers with voice bots. And then the thing we talked about earlier in the conversation was we can save our customers time. Remember, customers will use self-service. If it's personalized, if it's easy, if it's seamless, that's what they want to do. And at the end, you're also able to improve customer satisfaction, NPS, and customer ease scores. So let's talk about one case study with TransUnion that leveraged our AI capabilities. In this example, customers were stuck in the IVR for nearly 2 minutes. And if you think about what TransUnion, the services that they provide, these are most likely important scenarios for customers, because usually we're talking about their credit, or it might be identity theft protection. So these are important conversations that customers want to have or have those resolved. We implemented Amazon Lex with Connect, and we're able to move to conversational IVR and chatbots. The results that the customer was able to receive was, one, they were able to reduce their cost by 40%. Think about it. This is now being handled by voice bots and chat bots. They reduced transfer rates by 40%, and they were able to reduce time in the IVR by 89%. Remember, they were at 2 minutes in the IVR starting out. So one other thing, so we've talked about that, but I also want to make an announcement of one of our newest products that we've launched. It's called Apple Messages for Businesses. It's around our third-party messaging apps where we have tight integration. So we're able to leverage those same capabilities that we talked about from a Gen AI standpoint. So being able to leverage that same Amazon Q, Lex, and Bedrock capabilities, similar to what you can do with voice bots, similar to what you can do with the regular chat bots, similar to what you can do with SMS, to be able to automate and drive self-service. In addition, we're also able to leverage, if you need to transfer that to an agent, you're able to transfer that to an agent. Same context, able to route it to the right agent. Agent is able to have context around that conversation. We're also able to leverage the same tools to handle Apple Messages for business conversations. So same functionality that customers are used to using, they're able to use this. And then the next key point is around being able to leverage this for Apple Pay integration. So you're able to complete transactions. Last piece, we're going to start to talk a little bit more, and this is where I'm going to, after this slide, I will transition to my colleague, Marcelo, is around IVR and some of the trends that we're seeing. And I want to share some research from McKinsey. Some people will say that IVR is going away, but it's not. Especially with the drive and voice bots, it's still a very important channel for customers to interact, because they can use their cell phone, their home phone to be able to interact. They can use web calling to be able to interact. The voice piece is still going to grow. However, what we're seeing is that we're seeing less than 30% containment. For 7 out of 10 companies are having 30% or less containment. However, for customers who are investing in next-gen IVR capability solutions out there, they're seeing a 500% increase in customer satisfaction. That's significant. And that's driving the growth in IVR. So by 2030, it's going to grow from $5 billion in 2022 to $9 billion in 2030. And so we're seeing that. What Marcelo is going to share are some of the things that we're seeing with some of our customers and some of the innovation that we're doing with our customers. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Let's go over some of the experiences we have had with a variety of customers and why should we start with the IVR. This is actually pretty interesting, but 46% of people, including probably some of us in this call, rather go to the dentist than call customer support in any way, shape, or form. So IVRs, or this interactive voice response system, as Charles mentioned, especially on the speech side, it is the front door of your business. It's how usually folks start that journey of interacting with your customer support, that may transition from a chat bot, a voice experience, to eventually talking to the right human or the first contact resolution human that can actually help you with your specific issue and things of that nature. So next slide. Let's talk about customer preferences. As Charles mentioned, based on research, may be surprising or not, but most people still prefer going on the phone and having that experience on talking to someone on the phone, whether because it's part of the way that they have done work or because eventually they want to talk to a human. It's a complex issue, or it is the mode of communication that we most used to. We have this phone in our hands. It's easier just to press a button and start conversing with the device, right? Whether this is a chat bot or a human. So you will see that, Charles, can you build a slide, please? There you go. So 75% of inbound calls were voice in the US in 2021. So those calls coming into the contact center space, they were voice calls. They did not initiated from a web interface or a chat and things of that nature. It was people picking up the phone and making a call. 61% of CX leaders or customer experience leaders report increase in total call volumes. We see this with customers like TransUnion, as was mentioned by Charles, DoorDash, which I'll talk about in a bit, and NAB, for example, the National Australian Bank, that will talk about their outcomes and how they reach the containment rates that they have achieved of late. Next slide. This is an important slide because everything is about what we call customer effort. How much effort you're putting on understanding your customer, understanding the part of the journey that the customer is going to be on, and how to optimize for the part of the journey, right? So it's important to consider why customers abandon a self-service workflow, an IVR workflow, or even not abandoning that flow. They go with the proverbial 0000 because that's what they are accustomed to in DTMF to get to an agent, or they go agent, 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 representative, and eventually gets to an agent, but this agent may not be optimized to fulfill the requirements, may not be the subject matter expert for their particular needs, and you get on this ping-ponging of going from one agent to the next to be able to fulfill what you are trying to do. So it's important that the effort is put in place based on the customer. So you have to work backwards from a customer or your own experiences with the IVRs to understand how to optimize for it. So 36% of customers would abandon because there's too many options, long menus. You have this concept of directed dialogue menus where you have a press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and all that. And when you get into that, you go into the next menu instead of having a conversational experience. 67% of customers abandon the call because they don't believe that the IVR is ever going to help them resolve the issue or gather the proper information to be able to be routed to the right queue where the human or the agent on the other side is the right agent with subject matter expertise to be able to help them solve their problems within that first contact. Therefore, we'll talk about the benefits of natural language understanding and personalization. I think this is a subtle but a very important aspect of what Charles and I are trying to convey over this talk, which is about not having a strict or a very driven type of interaction between the human and the bot that leads to potentially a self-service fulfillment, meaning I finish my entire workflow with a bot, or if I finish my entire workflow with a bot and I have additional questions that I need a human to, I pass that information to the human so they can quickly help me with whatever additional help I may have and get me off the phone so I can go about my day, right? It's important to understand that is about allowing the flexibility of, hey, I fulfilled something, now I want to talk to an agent, or I want to have another self-service experience. I check my balance, now I want to pay my bill, or I want to do both at the same time, and the system has the rationale capabilities to understand that if I say, hey, I want to pay my bill and check my balance, that's likely that you want to check your balance first, then pay your bill, right? Personalization is super important. When you call, if you think about it, there are several airlines that do this today, that if you call the airline number and you are a member of their loyalty number and you're in the middle of a trip, they say, hey, Marcelo, are you calling about your trip to San Francisco, and that kind of thing. So that allows you to not only know, to understand that the system knows who you are, but is aware of your history and where you are within the journey within that particular brand, right? So personalization is super important. You will see statistics that personalization, addressing someone by their name or knowing where they are you calling about your recent inquiry for a mortgage, for a credit card application, and that kind of thing. That increases customer satisfaction by 10 to 20%. Personalization can increase containment dramatically, driving tremendous amount of savings in the orders of millions, depending on your call volume. Next slide. So how do we create these we delight these customers with an amazing experience using conversational AI? We try to migrate this rigid menu-driven interaction that you have, as I mentioned, the press 1 for X, press 2 for Y, and there's many menus until you find what you want to do. It's not that there is not a place for DTMF. There are places where you may need to use DTMF, right? I might be on a very noisy environment on an airport, and all of a sudden I'm speaking to the bot, and my voice gets overwhelmed by overhead announcement at the airport, and the speech recognition may get confused, and you may want to transition to DTMF even for personal information. If the thing is asking me, would you enter the last 4 of your social security number to check on your mortgage application? I may not want to be in a public place, be telling my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the last 4 of my social. I may want to have the option to be able to enter DTMF. Those kind of things are important, and they are important that the prompt that you create is very well drafted, as well as early on the prompt that tries to tell you what you need to do, give you proper instructions. And that's the value of conversational designers that can create these prompts that allow you to have a very good understanding early on the prompt where you're supposed to do to have the best experience. Next slide. So the concept of as easy as how can I help you, right? On where the customer calls and you have this early in open conversation with a chatbot where you could ask about your balance. You could ask about when is the last deposit on my account. It has a personalized experience, right? When you have the integration with back-end systems, CRMs, and go through that experience, as I mentioned, hello, Ann, are you calling about the status of your recent order? Are you calling about your mortgage application? And all these kind of things. There's several ways of using the history of the user with the brand to personalize the conversation related to that journey that you're embarking with your brand. I think it's super important to understand that you're creating a journey for the end customer to your brand, and it starts with the IVR, but it's not only the IVR, right? That journey may evolve with an interaction with an agent and a human, and this particular journey needs to be thought out as you go through building your IVR and your overall customer experience within Connect, Lex, and all the other services associated with it. Next slide. So let's talk about a particular customer, National Bank of Australia, as I mentioned. This is a typical customer that introduced early on the concept of personalization, trying to identify if folks were calling about their recent deposit because it was at the end of the month and they want to find out if their direct deposit had been placed on their checking account, and all these different things to personalize the digital experience that the customer is interacting with the brand, therefore having a huge increase in cost savings. And National Bank of Australia is actually one of our examples of customers that have achieved a containment rate in the very high 80s to the 90s by introducing Amazon Connect with Lex in creating this personalized digital experience. Next slide. DoorDash, which we'll talk about quite a bit in this particular presentation, it's a customer of ours that in the US provide a variety of services, food delivery services, and they have different personas. DoorDash has the Dasher, the fleet of delivery professionals that go and deliver food to your door, go to a restaurant, pick them up and have them go to you, the merchants, the restaurants that participate on the DoorDash network to create that experience of allowing their products to be serviced and delivered to your home or place of business or what have you. And of course, us as the customers that are placing the orders. So DoorDash created this IVR experience within Amazon Connect and Lex initially to provide this front door or allow their highest volumes persona, which are the Dashers, to make calls and understand the different aspects of their journey. Meaning, it might be a new driver that's onboarding as a new driver and may call, hey, I'm a new driver. I need to talk to a representative because I made a mistake. I picked up the wrong order or those kind of things. Or I need to find out when do I file my taxes and when am I going to receive a particular W-4 and things of that nature, right? So DoorDash, after implementing the first phase of the IVR, was able to reduce the transfer rates by 49%, meaning now they were able to collect the right information out of the callers to be able to transfer them to the right SME that could help them answer their questions, therefore increasing first call resolution, or what DoorDash calls first contact resolution, up to 12 points and reducing their costs, therefore achieving a $3 million plus operational savings by not having this call bounced around multiple agents, and therefore reducing the experience of the end customer, the dashers, the merchants, and the customers that may call DoorDash. Next slide. Recently, DoorDash took that experience and enhanced that experience by introducing generative AI to the contact center. Much like what Charles mentioned, that experience of creating self-service experiences of, hey, I have an order and I'm going to be late. How do I not get penalized? And how do I move forward? This type of informational exchange or policy or FAQ type of things were introduced to the journey to allow the different personas to have access to policies and procedures, as well as or frequently asked questions that exist on their website to be surfaced through a conversation. With the example of DoorDash could be exactly as I mentioned. You in the middle of the delivery, a dasher or a driver calls and says, hey, I picked up the wrong order. I'm going to be late to deliver to the customer. What should I do? And it goes into the FAQ and may say, hey, the proper procedures to keep in constant communication with the end customer, advise them that you're going to be late, and make sure that you provide the best experience. So those kind of things, the introduction of the FAQ, besides the call routing and the self-service workflow, allows the customers to have that additional value that they can get from frequently asked questions in the middle of a conversation. Much like what Charles mentioned, if you're in the middle of booking a hotel, for example, or booking travel, let's say you're booking a flight, and the IVR comes to you and says, hey, what class of service you want to book? And you say, what is the baggage allowance for business class, for example? To allow you to go and dip into an FAQ that is personalized, right? Because now I might be a frequent flyer with status on the airline. And because I'm a frequent flyer with status on the airline, besides the normal baggage allowance of business class, you may say, hey, and because Marcelo, you are a gold member, you will have access to having one extra bag as carry-on if you purchase a business class ticket. And it could come back to the flow and say, so what class of service you want? And then I can continue with that conversation with the chatbot and fulfill my flight booking information. But at the same time, throughout the journey, enhance the functionality of the journey by allowing me access to knowledge bases and get more insights on how that journey is perceived by me as the customer. Next slide. So as I mentioned, this is a journey. It is an experience. So we got to think about how the desired experience for the end caller will flow throughout what you are building, meaning someone making a call, the IVR maybe receiving the call, having the concept of both self-service experience, informational exchange with FAQs, gathering information to the proper call routing, or gathering the entire experience that eventually can be transferred to an agent for additional information. And I'll give you an anecdotal information associated with DoorDash that goes into that agent-assisted service and how Gen AI plays an important part based on some of the artifacts of Gen AI. But let's talk about this experience. So the important thing is to realize that if you look at a customer wants to have that journey with you at their own terms, meaning they want to have that experience both on an omni-channel type of thing, meaning I want to have in a mobile space, I want to be able to chat with the website, I may want to use this to search your policies and procedures and things like that. The channel of experience should be catered to the user, right? And at times, I may need to use DTMF, as I mentioned, or I may want to use not be on a public place talking about my private details in terms of my address, my phone number, date of birth, last four of my social, if that's the way I desire. I may want to have the type of interactions that may include SMS. I may go to a form and then come back to the IVR. If you want an experience, I want to be known. I want you to know who I am, what my preferences are, and my desires are. So from a proactive point of view, I want you to know me. I want you to personalize that experience, know who I am, know that I don't like to hear offers about third-party partners and things of that nature. I prefer to have a very fast conversation with the IVR. So if you proactively, I don't want, hey, are you calling about our newest credit card? I don't want those kind of things because that's on my profile. I want to make sure that you talk to me about my current brand experiences in history and transactions. So you open up and say, hey, I see that you call usually around this time regarding your direct deposit. Are you calling about your direct deposit today? Blah, 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 and that kind of thing, right? The contact with the user, you need to know me. You need to know who I am to be able to offer the better personalized experience. And you have to make it easier for an assisted self-service. As Charles mentioned, you have to have that AI, potentially that rationale capability to be able to reason what I'm saying. At times I may say, hey, I want to book a room for 4 people. And as Charles mentioned, at times I might be super happy that I'm going to take a travel and I'm going with my wife and kids. And I may want to say, hey, it's me, my wife, and 2 kids, and that kind of thing, right? You have to adapt that interaction and make it easy for the human to interact with the bot and eventually gather that information to the interaction with the human. So that's when it goes into the agent assist, where you're going to take that information not only about my entire journey with the brand, but my current journey, what steps I struggle, when did I change my mind during this journey that I wanted to book travel, but now I'm not so certain because of the policies that may not address my thing, and now I want to be transferred to an agent, and you know that I asked a question about class of service, maybe I didn't get the answer I wanted, but now the agent can proactively help you with step-by-step procedures to fulfill the request, right? Next slide. This is not easy. This is not an easy thing to do, to gather all these things together. But fortunately, with the AI, Gen AI experiences, we can leverage AI to delight our customers throughout these journeys from a brand point of view as they interact with our IVR and agents. Charles, do you mind building the slide, please? So it's all about having that omni-channel experience that is personalized as is proactive. So you got to make sure that you have the capability of understanding if I like advertisements or not, and if I want to be to the point, or in the past 5 times you gave me a credit card offer, I decided to listen to it, so I have a propensity to be looking for a new credit card when I call your company, and those kind of things. Making sure that the channels of communication of marketing, sales, and services are well intertwined, which you can see that the last time I called the brand and I was talking to sales, I was pretty upset about my order. that was delayed, and since I'm calling back like within 24 hours and now I'm calling customer support, maybe it's associated with that order. Or the last time I clicking on one of your ads, I was looking for a new credit card, and now maybe proactively the IVR could say, hey, I'm looking to onboard on our new 0.9 APR credit card with a balance transfer limit of XYZ and that kind of stuff, right? The contact needs to be identifiable. I need to know that you know who I am, right? That is personalized, that once I'm fully authenticated and verified by your system, that you have the history of my entire interaction with the brand and how now to personalize that experience. And again, this needs to be multimodal, conversational, capable of fulfilling self-service, gathering information to eventually better assist the human if that's the path I decided to take by the end or at the beginning of the conversation. As Charles mentioned, if I'm calling a fraud helpline, it's likely that I'm under stress. You want to collect the minimum amount of information to get me to a human because I may have lost my wallet and I want to cancel my credit cards and things of that nature. Next slide. So again, this is all about creating that conversational experience. And within Amazon Connect and Lex, you now have the capability of being able to do this, as Charles mentioned, with voice interactions and voice submissions. The fact that we have, if you haven't seen these new neural voices in generative AI voices for text-to-speech that have been released by Amazon Poly. They're coming to Amazon Connect in the very near future, which are very, very interesting voices in terms of intonation, in terms of pauses, in terms of creating capabilities of being more personal and being on much more adaptable to the customer sentiment as the sentiment changes throughout the journey. And as you saw on in our previous slides, generative AI is becoming essential portion of how you develop this journey in terms of adding reasoning and rationalization on the requests, on the intent classification, and how you leverage knowledge bases to enhance the experience as you drive insights from FAQs, not only through the FAQs that exist within your business, but also some that may exist externally from third-party providers and things of that nature. Next slide. So again, we have made some recent launches and announcements on the Gen AI space. Charles mentioned some of them. In Amazon Lex, we have these conversational FAQs, which allow you to interact with knowledge bases and gather insights and have frequently asked questions on your knowledge base, meaning you create your bot doesn't have to be changed, and as your knowledge base changes, and new policies come in place or new procedures come in place, that you can interact with those with ever changing your bot and only taking the delta of information that was updated on the FAQs into consideration for future frequently asked questions. Intent routing, where you can choose your intent and use cases via LLMs, and identify the best way to route to an agent. Automated testing, which you can develop test cases in making sure that LLM can provide the the proper answer. Within the DoorDash use case or case study that you saw, we are publishing a blog on July 1st that's going to give you the entire architecture in the different cloud formation stacks and templates that you can use to develop not only the inference architecture of interacting with the knowledge base, but also the testing and evaluation methodology, the hallucination detection, as well as all the different artifacts that make the case study that DoorDash used to enable this new experience for customers, including automated testing and evaluation. As I mentioned, that I was going to talk about this concept of, in the DoorDash use case, of transferring to an agent, there is a concept of hallucination prevention and detection with guardrails as part of the solution. One of the things that we were able to make part of this new architecture from a hallucination detection or prevention is the fact that we can run hallucination detection in parallel as the user is interacting with the bot. And if we feel that some of the answers are not up to par based on ground truth that exists for the type of responses we want a customer to have, we can actually create the logic that after X number of responses that were iffy, let's assume you try to get refund policy details, and some of the questions were ambiguous or not very close to the refund policy because they're generative in nature. And you want to make sure that you add clarity to those questions, you can actually run this hallucination detection in parallel. And after a certain amount of questions and answers, as the human is interacting with the bot, you can say, you know, at this time, maybe I want to transfer to an agent. And then you can go to the interaction with the customer and says, hey, by the way, let me transfer you to an agent to get you additional details on our refund policy and how to best fulfill your needs. So he can go to an agent, give the entire transcription, gives the answers that were provided, how it deviates from policies and procedures, or how the ambiguity could be perceived on the answers that were given, and give prescriptive guidance to the agents to perhaps clarify or correct those answers, depending on the type of systems that you're running. So we have this blog coming out on July 1st, hopefully, that you will have access to all this data. And actually, we have a data set, a fake data set of hotels or entertainment type of a property with multiple hotels that you will be able to bring into your development environment and play around with it and use and see how the current implementation utilizes the data from knowledge bases to augment the customer's conversation. Next slide. So again, this is all about the caller. It's all about looking at the overall journey of the end customer and how does that journey transfer from channel to channel, from voice to IVR, to potentially SMS and chat, and comes back to voice, to the point of being able to have a self-service experience that can be fulfilled within the IVR and eventually transfer to an agent, or collecting the best information possible from the end user to route that end user to the SME or subject matter expert that will be able to help them with their issue from the get-go. Next slide. Charles, please.
Yep. So if you want to learn, thank you for your time today. We'll try to leave a minute or two to get some questions, but you're able to get information about the other events that are upcoming based on this QR code. So I'll give you a few seconds to kind of gather those if you like. So the next one also, we'd like to get your feedback so that we can continue to make sure that we are addressing your needs during these sessions that we're having. If you would, we would greatly appreciate it if you would fill out the survey. Give you all a few seconds to do that. Were there any, I know we have like a minute or so left. Were there any questions in the chat that we might be able to answer? And if not, we'll try to follow up with you all on that. But I don't know if there were any questions in there that we might be able to answer very quickly.
I see one question about the slides being available after the presentation.
We have to follow up on that. I'm not sure what the policy and procedures around that, but we'll follow up. I'll let you know either way. Any other questions in there that you could see?
No, that's all I have in my Q&A.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for your time. Please fill out the survey. Please join us for other sessions. Tomorrow, we're actually having a session on the same subject, but it's going to be more technical. So if you'd like to be able to join that and get additional information or have some of your other colleagues join, please feel free. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.